Hello, hello. Welcome to another exciting episode of Rating Men I've Dated with Charles Burns. I'm your host, Charles Burns. We've got a two-part episode today. 2 parts. It goes way back to one time I tried to date an entire house of Brooklyn bros. 3 men were living together, and I tried to date all of them. I couldn't get the last one, but I was able to date the first 2. And so I'm going to tell you about how I did that. This is our penultimate episode. I mean, we have this episode, I have one more guy that I can rate, and then I've run out of men to rate. So this week we are rating the Brooklyn Bro House. I met a man we're going to call Lord Kingsley. I dated him briefly then, and we took a break, and then we kind of dated again, and then we became friends. And then through the friend group that I was involved with him, I met his roommate, who was another guy I dated in his same house, and I'm going to call that guy Crane LEMMONBOTTOM. I'm going to rate both of these Brooklyn bros on the next 7 things. We're going to rate them on lover points, romance points, handsomeness points, helpfulness points, stability points, faithfulness points, and ending points. Let's get started. This is in chronological order, so I'll rate Lord Kingsley first, and then I'll rate his roommate, Crane LEMMONBOTTOM. Let's get going. So Lord Kingsley I met during the dating experiment, and so we went on a couple dates then, and then we kind of lost track of each other because I was dating a lot of people. And then years later we met again, and we kind of like started hanging out, and sometimes it'd be like a date and sometimes it wasn't. We kind of became friends years later. So we kind of went through like 2 different dating parts. We dated during the dating experiment, we dated again, and then we ended up becoming friends with each other. The seriousness of the relationship I had with Lord Kingsley it was always a playful maybe. Like we dated and it was always just so playful and maybe. And then we stopped dating and then we dated again. It was maybe, and then we just became friends. And it was just nice. It was refreshing. I felt respected. I never felt unsafe. He made me feel safe, which was nice. For Lord Kingsley, we met with the dating experiment. I think we met on Tinder or something, like Tinder. I will say, as I never went to bed with either of these men, I'm just going to be rating the quality of our makeout sessions. And so as a lover, I will give him a 7.5 as someone to make out with, just from kissing, right? But 7.5, it was nice. As far as romance goes, we didn't go on that many dates, but when we did, he would plan them out, and he really tried, and he was trying to be very romantic. So I will give him a 7 on romance. As far as handsomeness goes, he was a solid 6.5. He was a tall, lanky guy in Brooklyn who had like a nondescript office job. He was fun to hang out with. And I think he would have been somebody else's, like he would have been even higher, but he was pleasant. I enjoyed Lord Kingsley. As far as helpfulness goes, he was not unhelpful. I met him in his 20s. We were both in our 20s, and he was not helpful. He was just kind of like a generic guy. So I will give him 5 points when it comes to helpfulness. As far as helpfulness goes, I met a lot of guys, especially in Brooklyn, who really want to be helpful, but don't seem to understand the perspective of somebody outside of themselves. And he seemed to at least recognize that it was hard for him to understand different people's perspectives. He was doing really well, and I think he owns his own house now. Like he had a plan, he wanted to do it, and he seemed more stable. Like he had support in his life. He had people who loved him a lot. So I will give him a 6.2 on stability. I always had this sense that he was searching for something, looking for something. I saw him date a lot of different people, and I find that interesting when people do that. He always shot straight with me. He's always been very clear with me, and he's always been very supportive and kind. So 7.5 on faithfulness for Lord Kingsley. Oh, I'm getting a call right now. Hold on. As far as the ending goes, it was a really nice ending because we both just kind of were like, it was playful, and it was a maybe, and it was always a playful maybe. And so the ending is a 9. Like it just was. No one got hurt. I felt respected the entire time of knowing this guy. Well done, Lord Kingsley. Never dated long. It was never very serious. But I would recommend dating Lord Kingsley. So I'm going to tally up, boom, 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 Lord Kingsley's point. And he has a total of, boom, 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 48.7. That's pretty high for me. Again, probably because it was a very short-term relationship. I met Lord Kingsley through the internet, and then I met who I'm going to call Lord Kingsley's roommate. I'm going to call him Crane LEMMONBOTTOM. I met him through knowing Lord Kingsley. So Lord Kingsley and I became friends, like I said. Lord Kingsley lived with Crane, Lemmonbottom. I met him through this group of friends, and he was with somebody when I first met him. I remember seeing him and thinking, oh, he's gorgeous, because he's tall, got good cheekbones, and he's conventionally attractive. Like, people on the street might agree. 8 out of 10 would say he's a catch. I will say the seriousness of this relationship was that it was insulting. Like, he was trying to flirt with me, I think, but he kept kind of like insulting, like, just everything about me, like just telling me how I could do it better. And so I would say the seriousness of this relationship was that I was just really insulted for a long time, and I was trying to be polite, but he just was constantly insulting me, Crane Lemmonbottom. As far as lover, I also never went to bed with him, but we did make out a few times, and sometimes I just always got the impression that he wanted to make out with me way, way more than I wanted to make out with him. And there were just a couple times where I just kind of felt like, whoa, okay, just like, give me my space. Like, if you're gonna kiss me, just like give me some, like, warm. I don't know. So I will say, as a lover, I'll give him a 4. On romance points, he was trying to be romantic. He was like trying to take me to dinner and stuff. But I think unless someone just purposely says to me, hey, may I take you on a date, it kind of flies over my head what's going on. And so he kept like trying to like just be in my area and do things like that, and I wasn't understanding what was happening. And so as romance goes, we'll give him a 4.3. Like I said, he was handsome, and other people would agree. I don't know if he was as handsome to me as he was to everybody else in the world, but people were telling me he was handsome. So I gotta say, he probably was. So objectively, by societal standards, he appears attractive, like conventionally attractive. He was that. He was tall. He was handsome. So he's an 8.8 on handsomeness. As far as helpfulness goes, oh my God, he did not know the world enough to give as much advice as he gave. Yeah, he made a lot of assumptions, and he was trying to be helpful, but his good intentions, again, oh my God, so many men I know, their good intentions just hurt. So he was trying to be helpful, and a lot of things he was trying to do ended up being insulting, or just really assumptive. And so I will say that he was a 3 when it comes to helpfulness, which is not very helpful. As far as stableness goes, he wanted to buy his own house. He was trying to make a plan. He just kind of was all over. Like, he told me, he took me out on a date. He bought me dinner. And then we're sitting in the park eating it. And he was asking me questions about my disease, because I'm disabled. I have an autoimmune disease. And I was explaining to him my disability. And he said to me, someone would have to make a lot of sacrifices to be with you, Charlie. Someone would have to make a lot of sacrifices to be with anybody. Like, that's just a true statement about anybody. So, but he meant it specifically about my disability. So I would say that has nothing to do with his stability, but he gets a 5 in stability, and he was insulting me all the time. As far as faithfulness goes, he was trying to be poly, and then he was trying to date me, and then he was also dating other people, but he wasn't really even saying he was on dates with me. He was just kind of like trying to be it. Like, I wouldn't say he was that faithful. I think he wanted to be more faithful than he was. So I'll give him a 4.2 on faithfulness. And then the way it ended was I kept telling him, like, hey, like, I feel like you're kind of forcing yourself on me sometime. And then he did not like that I was saying that. And he tried to mansplain some things to me. And then I told him, no, I'm actually allowed to say you took up too much of my space, and I'm allowed to say that. And if you don't want to mansplain, you should listen to me. And he did not like that. I ended up feeling very violated and horrible and unsafe in this man's company because he was sometimes like just touching me too much without asking for consent. So I would say the ending was a 0.6. I did not leave feeling respected or like he was for women. I ended up feeling like he did not know himself enough, and he was saying he was for women, but really he was not for women. He left a very bad taste in my mouth, if you cannot tell by the fact that I gave him the nickname Crane Lemmonbottom. Tally up all of Crane Lemmonbottom's points. Lover, romance, helpful, sable, faithful, helper, ending. And he has a total of 29.9. And I just want to say the difference between these two guys' scores, the difference between Lord Kingsley and Crane Lemmonbottom's scores, is a total of 18.8. Right. And they were roommates. Would I recommend dating Lord Kingsley? I think he's with somebody, so I don't think you can, but I would. I would say he was, good person. I would not recommend dating Crane Lemmonbottom. But, again, people change and hopefully everybody grows. Da-da-da-da-da. Well, that's all that we have today for this week for Rating Men I've Dated. Join me next week when I rate the last guy. We're down to the very last guy. Next week will be the last man I can rate because I've run out of people I've dated. So join us next week for the German friend. It's been a pleasure rating men in front of you. I'll see you next week. Peace. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and like for more. Anyways, someone cheated on him and devastated him. So I would say, I don't know why I'm giving him this score, but we never really dated. But I will say he was a 7.5. When he was in a relationship, he really wanted to be in it. The whole time I dated him would probably be less than a month. It was just a week or two, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a little bit over a month. But we